So sometimes it'll switch automatically from the gauge screen that I'm watching to the editing screen, and I have to reach up here and press the reset button or to return to gauges. Usually I have it on this gauge screen here. Come on, you can do it. Normally I have it on that screen, and I don't touch anything, and I'll look over and it'll have switched to the editing screen, and I'll have to cancel out. So this thing has got some glitches in the software. Database info. Tool info. Vehicle info. I wonder how you check for updates. Frequently asked questions. Well, that's useful. Tech support. Worst calibration update. Read these keys to tech support. So I'm connecting to my shop Wi-Fi and checking for updates. I did this when I installed the unit about 2 months ago. So it says there's an update available, so let's continue. Downloading updates, please wait. Well, we'll pick up when we get to the end of this update. Well, that took about 10 minutes to download. Wonder how long it takes to install. Seems pretty quick. Seven of 11. I hope this fixes the glitchiness of it. It would really be nice if this unit would automatically start when it senses an increase in battery voltage or when it senses network activity on the CAN bus. As I said, I had a scan gauge in my previous truck and it worked flawlessly. It would just automatically turn on and turn off with the network activity. But this thing requires you touch the screen to wake it up, and sometimes it doesn't wake up. It just sits there hung, and I have to unplug the DLC connector and plug it back in and then wait for it to reboot and reconfigure. Another suggestion is that this cable that runs to the DLC connector does not need to be so massive, in my opinion. There's only 4 wires required for this communication, power and ground, and 2 network wires, so why such a huge cable that's difficult to hide? Could be a speaker wire, a phone cable. Takes a while to install. Wonder if it's going to tell me what's new. Guess not. So I'm going to look at the device info now and see if it's any different. Application info. Okay. Database info. Okay. Tool info. Born date 2017-06-06. Serial number. That hasn't changed. Vehicle info. Don't imagine that would change. Calibration file name. I'll have to compare that. I'm not even sure what this is. Well, we'll see if this thing makes any difference. In the software operation. Exit. Gauges. I've configured a couple of gauges different. I do like the unit, but it just could be better in my opinion. Yeah, there we go. There's this one screen that I use, and then this. I tried to swipe left. It's not what I wanted. Should be a power off button on it. Cycle it. Come, it doesn't swipe to the left. There we go. Battery temperature, 12 volt battery voltage, battery remaining kilowatt hours. Says 85%, 85.7, and the truck says 91. I notice it's about 5% different till it gets down to around 50%, and then it becomes closer. But I understand that that's the way it's being reported on the gauges here might be slightly different than the reality. Well, we'll see what happens now with this startup glitch. So it's been about 2 weeks since I updated the software in this Diablo Sport display tool here, and it's still doing it every 10th time or so that I turn it on or activate it. It locks in this wake up screen and it won't continue. And I have to power cycle the DLC connector and then wait for it to reboot. And since the update to the software, how come it didn't even turn on? Maybe I didn't wait long enough. Let me try tapping the screen and see if that wakes it up. Well, that's new. I unplugged the DLC connector. That connector is pretty tight. Okay. Gotta wait for it to reboot now. Ever since that update, it randomly switches gauge screens. It goes to the editing screen. I'll wait for this to boot up. So I wonder if this thing's going to wake up again. Touch the screen to wake it up, which you shouldn't have to do. It should automatically wake up. It says waking up. I've updated the software in this thing to the most recent update, and it's locked again. So it locks up probably 20% of the time. It should have automatically progressed from there, and it doesn't respond to any screen touches. So I have to reach down underneath here and unplug the data cable, which is very inconvenient. Count to 5 and plug it back in again to reset it. Now the other thing it will do is it will switch screens randomly and go into the gauge editing screen for no reason sometimes while I'm just driving it. I like the unit, but there's things about it I don't like. Why is this HDMI cable so thick? They should offer a thin version of the cable so it'd be much easier to route. And why doesn't it automatically just wake up when you start the vehicle and it senses a voltage change? I had a scan gauge in my 06 GMC truck. It's probably from 2007 on, and it worked flawlessly. Now I know it's not as sophisticated as this thing is, but the technology is certainly there to automatically wake up when it senses network activity or when it senses a voltage change with the alternator charging.